2022 is here. It is the 1st of January. And as we like to do in the new year, we like to look forward. Because looking back at, don't look at that. Don't look at those predictions last year. They would ruin all credibility that I have as any sort of F1 YouTuber with how they went. In 2022, it's a new year. 2021, in terms of the world, was pretty awful. Let's be honest. It wasn't that great. We thought 2020 was bad. 2021 was not much better. But in terms of F1, it was probably one of the best seasons we've had in a while. It was action-packed. Everything happened. There were multiple winners. There was a great championship battle that went to the end. And of course, it was decided really controversially. So, it's always fun. But 2022, new regulations, new cars that look... not that great actually. I'm not a big fan of the design, but they're supposed to race really well, which is great for us, hopefully. And it might mean that Mercedes aren't the dominant car this year. I mean, looking at it, if we go back to 2009 when Honda went to Brawn and just last to first, maybe Haas will whip up a new double flip back broken super amazing diffuser that will propel them to the front of the pack. Most likely not, but this is the biggest chance that they'll get in a while. So that leaves exciting times, and also me, the difficult time of before any car announcements, anything whatsoever. Let's try and predict the grid. Let's just go for it straight off the bat. I don't even care. It could be, you can flip it and it might be right. Let's go for it though. So of course, in last place is going to be Nikita Mazepin. I didn't predict him last year, and I can't make the same mistake this year. He was over a second off his teammate, which that's not great. Boy, that is ropes. Let's be honest. You can't be over a second off your teammate in Formula 1 consistently, really, over a year, especially in qualifying. Like, I don't know if there was many races where he didn't finish the last of the runners, let alone, anywhere near his teammate. He was just so slow. And even if this Haas is a midfield car, he's gonna be slow. That's the issue. So yeah, 20th place. He might be a bit closer. He might get 1 or 2 points. I don't know. But I doubt it. I really doubt it. Last place for him. In 19th is going to be a newcomer, Guan Yu Zhou. Another person who's not really here on his merit of driving. We know why he's here. It's the money. It's always the money with Formula 1. And I think that actually Alfa Romeo is probably going to be the worst package overall this year. I think he's better than Mazepin. I think he showed he can actually drive with some consistency in F2. But I don't think he's going to be really challenging up there with even his teammate. I think Valtteri Bottas is way clear. He'll be lucky to not get clean swept by Bottas in qualifying, I think. But it will be interesting. I think with the new cars, with the fact that, no one's kind of used to them. It's not like going to Formula 1 where everyone's kind of used to the Formula 1 car already. And as such, he might be a bit closer. But for me, 19th. 18th, Nicholas Latifi, the third of the three kind of low pay drivers that are there. He improved in 2021, to be fair to him. He got a few points, and compared to Russell, he actually performed all right, including toward the end, actually beating him in qualifying. I think Russell was a bit clocked out though. He was ready for that Mercedes drive. Hopefully Williams is better this year, to be honest. If they are, then I can see him doing all right. But he just doesn't strike me as a driver who can make the most of a situation, He relies on a lot of luck to really get any points, which kind of sucks. Otherwise, he's always kind of down there battling toward the lower end of the pack. As such, 18th, considering the rest of the quality of these drivers that are on display. In 17th, Mick Schumacher. Second year in F1, and to be fair, in his first year, he was driving an awful car, but managed to get to Q2 twice. Twice in Q2 in that Haas. That is really good qualifying performance. Obviously no points because the Haas was utterly slow, but he dominated his teammate, he dominated Mazepin. If that Haas is anywhere near the level of just the rest of the cars, then he can get points this year. I do think so. I do think he's a good enough driver to do that. but 17th, only a couple points. I don't think that Haas is going to make the jumps that people think it will, to be honest. So 17th. In 16th though, and I'm going to go with Valtteri Bottas. At Mercedes, he was great out front, but when he was like behind people, when he was in the middle of the pack, he struggled. Maybe that's partly due to the Mercedes and how it operates. You know, it's much more set up for racing at the front. But maybe it's just kind of what his kind of brain's fallen into. He doesn't commit for those moves as much. And it'll be hard to change that kind of mindset that he has going straight into Alfa Romeo. I think he will struggle a little bit more than people expect. I think he'll end up picking up a lot more points than his teammate Zhou, but I think in the races he will still struggle. In 15th, and I've gone with Lance Stroll. This is a guy who I think should really, by now, be at least up in the top 10 regularly. You know, pole in 2020, several podiums in 2020. The issue is, I think that Aston Martin is kind of shit. It's really not great. I would like to see Stroll do better. But he's going to be held back by a car that isn't that good because, well, the 2020 development, when they started developing it, was just copying Mercedes. Since then, they haven't had a clue with the 2021 car. It's regressed. Maybe they'll come out with a banger in 2022 and blow us all away. But for me, they don't inspire a lot of confidence. Stroll's in 15th. In 14th, and I've gone for Alex Albon. He really impressed me in 2019. He didn't impress anyone in 2020. If you've seen my video on him, you'll see why I think quite highly of him. But in 2021, he's really shown his Red Bull kind of, his development of a car. And for Williams, that is one of the best aspects. And I think the fact that he might be able to just jump into that Williams, know his way around the setup, and kind of get it based down, that he could put that Williams in places that are pretty good. And as such, I'm going to put him in 14th place. He's not quite challenging the rest of the midfield, maybe up into the top ones, but I think he could get a couple of decent results in that Williams and actually put his name back on the grid for kind of in the long run. In 13th, and I've gone for Sebastian Vettel. Again, not confident in the Aston Martin. I think Seb's a great driver. I do. I think he's very consistent, very good. But that Aston Martin just doesn't fill me with anything. You know, it's just very sad because I think it looks good. I do think it looks quite good. But yeah. And I think after that, he may end up retiring if Aston Martin doesn't show a good package this year. His whole, especially toward the latter end of the season, if that Aston Martin doesn't kick on well, could get in his own head, could maybe just wait until retirement, not really push as hard as he could. And as such, I'm going to say 13th. In 12th, and I have gone for Yuki Tsunoda. I think he's going to improve a lot. Second year, he will have got used to kind of the handling of the F1 cars, even though it's changing a lot. He will have got more used to the tracks. And as we saw at like Bahrain, as we saw at Abu Dhabi, those tracks that he'd raced at before, he actually, you know, he showed a lot of skill. I think getting used to these tracks in the F1 cars, especially as the level playing field is going to be pushed right down where everyone's kind of getting used to this new car, it's going to propel him up, especially toward his teammate. I don't think AlphaTauri will be as good this year as they were last year. And as such, yeah, 12th. But a lot closer to his teammate in general. In 11th, and I've gone for Daniel Ricciardo. Bad year this year, let's be honest. He wasn't able to grasp that car well, and he's going to take a whole load of time, along with a lot of other racers, to actually grasp the car next year. Maybe it's built for him. Maybe the late braking will work in this sort of car. But I don't think McLaren in general are going to make a great car this year. I think it'll be good. I think it'll be decently competitive in some races. But the fact of the matter is that Ferrari have taken on great strides. Alpine seem to be taking on better strides. McLaren really have to kind of show what they've been doing for the second half of this year in the next season. And I don't really expect it to be amazing. I expect it to still be good. I expect it to be kind of always challenging for points, but not necessarily challenging for podiums, as I expect from some of the other cars in this list. As such, Daniel's going 11th. And in 10th is going to be Pierre Gasly. I think the McLaren AlphaTauri battle in the midfield is going to be quite fierce this year. I think all races there are going to be quite close to each other. but they aren't going to challenge the top teams, really. As such, I've put Pierre in 10th because I think he's a good racer. I think he was pushing that AlphaTauri last year to heights that it probably shouldn't have been, but I also think that AlphaTauri was probably a bit better than Yuki made it look as well. So it's really hard to judge how well he did last year. This year, though, his eye's going to be definitely on a different seat in F1, especially for 2023. But yeah, top 10 in an AlphaTauri that I don't think is going to be as strong this year will be very good for him. In number 9, I'm going to go Lando Norris. Again, I said what I said about the McLaren earlier. Lando is a really good racer, and I think he could maybe break forward, but I think the car will restrict him this year. This is just an early prediction. Obviously, I haven't seen any of the cars, but yeah, I don't have in my brain a bit of confidence for McLaren, you know. I feel like other teams have made much better steps. And as such, Lando P9. In P8, and I'm going for quite a risky one here. George Russell. Newly in a Mercedes. I think the pressure will get to him against Hamilton for his first year. I think the top teams are going to be a lot closer. I don't think there's going to be any real standout big team. I think it'll be a lot more like 2010, 2011, 2012, where there was like 3 or 4 teams competing toward the top. Unfortunately for George, I think the fact that he's going to take a little while to get used to the Merc, he's going to be really judged hard against Hamilton, especially through the races. It's going to affect him, and I think it could affect him enough as to where he gets pushed down to 8th. P7, and I'm going for Esteban Ocon. This is a case of I think Alpine's going to make a step up. I think Ocon is really strong of a racer, to be honest. I didn't think much of him for the past few years, but this year he has kind of shown that he can race up near the top. There is a reason why Mercedes had him in their youth, and I think he could well be their replacement for Hamilton. And I think with that kind of motivation, that push forward, he could get some good results. He could put that Alpine on a few podiums here and there and really kind of challenge toward the top. As such, P7. P6, and I've gone Checo. Sergio Perez. I don't think the Red Bull will be as strong this year. I think he'll be a lot closer to Max than he was before. With the fact that he's got used to the car, I think he will be a lot more advantageous for Red Bull. Considering the first half of the 2021 season, he was really struggling with the car. Second half, he seemed to really grasp it a bit better. I don't think he's going to be quite high, you know. I think 6th is perfectly fine. I think there are drivers that are better than him overall. He has the experience to be a great second driver, but actually challenging up in the driver's standings could be tricky. In number 5, and I have gone for Carlos Sainz. Great season in 2021, let's be honest. But I don't think he was as good as Leclerc for the whole season. I think he was just more consistent and kind of stayed out of trouble. I think his DNFs in races, I don't think I remember any this year. He really stays out of trouble, and in races where there's a lot, like Hungary, like Abu Dhabi, all those where he just kind of sneaks in, gets that podium, gets the job done. And I think that's really helped him out, you know. This year, I think that consistency will work really well as Ferrari's more second driver. But I think Leclerc will push on a bit further this year than Sainz. And as such, I'm putting Sainz in 5th. In 4th, and I have gone for Fernando Alonso. I thought when he got back into the game that he might be a bit slower. But he took that Alpine to really drive better than I expected. He was so consistently in the points, and I have a feeling that Alpine are going to develop their car really well this year. Whether it's a little bit of a one-hit wonder, I just have a feeling they're the team that's going to push on the most, along with Ferrari this year. But Alpine really are going to make a jump to try and compete up near the top. And as such, I think Fernando is going to be getting 1 or 2 race wins. He's going to be showing his experience at the front of the pack. He's going to be showing why he's a former world champion, 2-time world champion, how he was able to beat Michael Schumacher and kind of bring that back. I have a feeling for Fernando. 4th place this year. In 3rd, and I've gone for the current world champion, Max Verstappen. I don't think Red Bull are going to bring quite the package this year. Let's be honest. I think that car was great this year. Along with the Mercedes, they were both great, but I think the amount of time they've spent kind of focusing on this year's win is going to set them back. I also don't think Max is going to be quite as hungry as he was this year, and as such, it's going to set him back a little bit. I think Red Bull will probably be around the third best package, maybe even the fourth. I think Max will put it in places where it might not be. I think he will get quite a few race wins. But for me, third place, I think these top three are going to be the big challengers. And in second, I've gone for Ferrari's big, major young star in Charles Leclerc. Ferrari has shown me a team that just pushes forward, They've really gone at it in the past year or so, especially after the 2020 setback. Their advances this year have been great, and I think they could continue that really well in 2022. They've got great drivers that if they work together, one of them will be set up for a great season. I think Sainz will be willing to be a bit of a second driver for Charles, especially if Charles gets his consistency down, he gets out of some of these DNFs that he's had, and he really gets his head down and races well. I definitely think he could be up there challenging. He's part of that talent pool that is one of the greatest in the world. So yeah, second place, Charles Leclerc, and that obviously leaves Lewis Hamilton to win his 8th World Drivers' Championship. Last year, I predicted he would win as well, and he was like a tiny bit off. This year, I think the Mercedes isn't going to be as strong, but I think that Lewis himself will be so determined, will push forwards and actually win the Drivers' Championship just based on pure spite about the last year one. He's still one of the most talented, experienced drivers of all time, even though he lost a championship last year. It will be interesting to watch. I think this championship will be a lot closer. A quick thing of, I'm not doing the teams. I think the teams are quite easy to kind of figure out here. But this is my predictions without knowing anything. I could be right on the money. I could be completely off like I was last year. All I know is that I'm pretty confident in 20th. I've got to say I'm pretty confident in that. And other than that, anything can change. Let me know what your predictions are this early. Any sort of what's in your heart, what you feel might happen without seeing any of the cars. Leave them in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow me on Twitter at Stokesy_YT because, I've got really bad opinions to share as well. My next video, I don't think will be an F1 one. No, I think I've got something else in the bag that I've been working on, and I will see you for that then. Bye.